What is up, you guys? Happy fourth night of Hanukkah. I hope you're doing well. I just have to say that I have experienced at least one answered prayer / mini miracle per day since Hanukkah started, and I kind of talked about that in last night's video. But yeah, just in case like you feel discouraged or you feel like you're stuck forever, I just want to remind you guys that my mom had this weird affliction that was kind of tormenting her for years, and it was like something she lived with day and night, and she prayed about it. She went to see people that would come to church to do the healing, and it was like nothing was happening, and for years, and she didn't understand why, but she just accepted, and she just kept praying for that miracle. Finally, one day I had a conversation with her, and she had shared with me that this huge kind of life-changing revelation had come upon her about something in her, to her awareness about herself and the way she was approaching people and kind of being and living and her perspective. And it was very eye-opening and awakening for her. And then shortly after that, she went to church, and they did a thing that Sunday where they just looked at the person next to them, and that person prayed for the person next to the other person. And she was sitting next to this really cute guy that she just thought was very attractive. He's like this younger dude, he just thought he was really cute. And when he prayed for her, she felt something happen, and she hasn't had any of those issues ever since. It was like she was healed miraculously in that moment, right? So we don't know what the timing is going to be sometimes, or like how it's going to happen or how it's going to be delivered. But one of the things that came up this week, and when I was listening to something about Advent, Saint Anthony's tongue was doing a podcast, and he was talking about blessed are those that aren't offended by me. Then that was something that Christ said. And a lot of people take it to mean like, it's hard. It's a hard pill to swallow that, you're being asked to be pious and like, follow these, modest rules and don't worship wealth and all these things that are inconvenient for the ego. But more so, it's specifically talking about don't be offended when you ask God for something and you don't get your prayer answered. At least it doesn't appear that it's happening that way, right? Because think about in many cases, the disciples had things that they wanted healing for too, or prayers that they wanted answered, but they didn't get those things answered because the actual event was more incremental in making them better vessels for their service. Right? When there was a case where the healing would make them a better vessel for the service, then the prayer would be answered, right? In that obvious healing kind of way. But sometimes the struggle or the dark moment was the seed level of what needed to happen for miracles to occur later. So we don't always understand how things are playing out, how they're going to come together, or why, but we can have confidence that the Creator is going to take care of us, that things will, like if we're willing, they can shift into a divinely resonant direction for our life. And if we lend ourselves even just a little bit to the change, it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be 100% success rate, right? We can be imperfect, but just with sincerity, keep showing and keep trying. But we can't avoid life or change or growth or sit back passively and wait for it all to happen for us. We have to be making that maximum effort, but surrender the results and understand that there is a mystery and so many things that we can't see that are happening behind the scenes. So at some point we just kind of have to let go, trust, do our best, and then try to continuously become that vessel that is a greater vessel of sharing on behalf of the Creator, right? So, all right, let's see our cards. I'll let you guys listen to the audio, and then we'll come back and talk more about it. So we have Ash, followed by Gold, followed by Coagulation, Underneath ash, we have the King of Wands, which earlier in the week we had the King of Pentacles. So it's like that king was about us getting our shit together, getting practical, starting to take action. And this is like about getting fired up, getting some fire under your ass, going after what you want with faith, with like grit, with moxie, with a little chutzpah, right? Intensity, intention, passion. Underneath gold, we have the Hierophant. So again, turning that bitterness into sweetness is when we realize that the way that life has played out, even in the darker times, has ultimately served to bring us more wisdom, bring us into a greater maturity, right? When grapes have a very easy climate, they don't make for great wine. Great wine comes from drier climates where the grapes have to show some tenacity, and they have to show some resilience, and they have to overcome harder conditions. And so too are we as human souls. You know, when we are in perfectly easy conditions all the time, we don't really learn much, and we kind of become vapid, and we entropy, right? When we're not working out our bodies, like we lose our svelteness, don't we? Don't we, over the holidays, right? So again, you know, this gold, this is the alchemist's gold, right? The ash here is what is being broken down. I'm going to keep going, and then I want you guys to listen to the audio at the end, because it's a really nice, concise way to convey this message, and you'll get to see the layout and everything. But there's also different ideas that I won't remember to bring up here. So stay till the end and listen to the audio. But so, for instance, right, this ash, this is the burning down and the separation of the impurities out of the material, right? When we work with metals, we want to like melt that metal down and separate the impurities from the pure element, right? And then through going through that heat and then cooling again, it's like, and going through that heat again and cooling again and being beaten, that metal becomes stronger, right? And it's refined into something, and it begins to take shape. So this is like the alchemist process of turning that lead into gold. And so what we think right now might be burning to ash and slipping through our fingers, we're actually in the process of gold. We're in the moment of the gold happening. So we're at the end of our Gregorian calendar year, the cyclical year. We're at the end of the fall season. We're moving right into the equinox, or the solstice on the 21st, the winter solstice, which starts the winter season. And we are ending a lot of major cycles in the astrological context. So there's so many big endings and epics and sagas going on right now, both within our soul, within humanity, within the world, on the world stage. So sometimes it just feels like, oh my gosh, is everything slipping from my fingers? Is it all turning to ash? But right now, actually what's happening is that fire is the ash of the phoenix. And we are about to birth a new chapter, new beginnings, new starts. And so instead of, shying away from this moment, really go in, full force with your passion and energy and gusto, and embrace this moment. The Hierophant, learn from what you've gone through and take that and become your own spiritual authority, right? Become the spiritual leader of not only your life, but you begin to become the spiritual leader of the world around you as well. So the gold that you have has taught you, things that are valuable, that other people don't have that same unique perspective or set of experiences that has given you the perspective or wisdom that you have, right? Or the talents or whatever it is. So we're using all that to help others as well, to shine that light, to become better vessels for the light of the Creator. Now, Michael Berg, the head teacher at the Kabbalah Center, a couple of years ago did this lecture during Hanukkah that he was talking about. There's two types of spiritual people. The types of spiritual people that want to seek out the light and only be with the light for the light's sake, and they want the good experiences, and they think that their spirituality is there to just make their life better and more pleasant. And they're fine, but they're not like going to be the spiritual greats of the time that are going to make the shift for humanity. They're not pushing forward into new territory. They're not tipping the scales, right? And then there's the other kind of spiritual person, the other kind of tzaddik, which seeks out and desires the darkness. They want to see that come out in them, and they want to search that out in them so that it can be truly transformed, instead of lying in secret under the surface and controlling you in a way that you're unaware of, and stealing your free will. Those are the types of people that are like, no, I want to search out all of these unconscious negativities in me that are running the show, that are keeping me from being a true spiritual leader in my life, and a sovereign, and using my free will to make me closer to the Creator by becoming more like that, like the Creator, taking on the attributes and qualities of the Creator. So we're learning, we are applying that, we are embodying that, and we're going into a new era that we're going to be co-creating with God. When we make an effort, we know that like without like the force of the light, like our efforts don't really do much, but we have to do our part and meet halfway. We can't be toxic passive, right? We have to be involved. We have to be giving an effort. Right? It's like having a turkey that you raise and you're planning on harvesting it for your Thanksgiving feast. You have to put in, whatever you put in, you can expect to get, right? Whatever we put out in the world, that's how the Creator mirrors our frequency back to us, right? And so you know, what we see in our conditions, our inner efforts to improve and make that sacrifice will eventually yield change in our outer conditions, right? But we can't expect it to be done for us. We have to do it, and then the Creator matches our investment, right? Like a employer's benefits, like for, I don't know, I've never had that. I've never had a job that has benefits, but I'm told that they match your investment in your IRA or 401k or whatever. And wouldn't that be nice, right? But that's kind of how it is. Like we sit back and we wait for everything to come to us, and we wait to be saved and rescued, and we wait for it to just all be taken care of with a wave of a magic wand. But it's our responsibility as the human race to become sovereign stewards. You know, we're the ones that have channeled all the evil into this world, but as well as the good, right? But it doesn't come through unless we do it. So at the end of the day, the buck stops here, right? Coagulation and Page of Swords. So things really are coming together. Coagulation is things coming in, connecting, merging, coming into like solid binding, right? But we don't want it to coagulate so much that we remain stuck, right? I have like these resin molds that have these insect specimens like captured in time. And if we get too set in our ways and in our comfort zone, then we become that creature that's stuck in one moment forever, preserved, but you know, not moving forward, not living life. You're just stuck in that resin, right? But you like coagulation can also become entangled, right? And so what we want to do is avoid the being, you know, tangled and entangled. We want to avoid being stuck, but we want things to come together, right? So to avoid being stuck, that's what we were talking about earlier, is like the ego can, we also talk about in the audio, but the ego can intimidate us from change, because it's like, oh, why believe in a miracle? It's different for me. It's complicated. The Kabbalists teach that if you're like, this is complicated, then that's more than likely the opponent, because the light is simple. So if it's simple, it's the light. If it's complicated, you're getting into the realm of having the opponent involved, right? And so that's the classic line that keeps us stuck, right? Oh, it's different for me. Oh, I've tried everything. Oh, this doesn't work. Or, oh, I know how that'll be, and I don't want, you know, it's like we have to be willing to just take small steps and it not be perfect. The Page of Swords, sometimes I think of the Page of Swords as just doing things haphazardly, like swinging the sword without really paying attention and not thinking about the consequences, not really being mindful about their actions. Sometimes they're a little bit of a blunt edge in that way because they're in a hurry, they're excited, they're engaged, they're enthusiastic. They just jump right in, but sometimes they don't think about how they're going about it. But I think in this kind of situation, we have to be willing to be that a little bit and like come at it from a beginner's mind and just take a stab at it and see how it goes. And just realize that it's okay to make a mistake. You just practice and get better. I remember spending some time with my nephew when he was little, and I can't remember what we were doing. We were trying to make something or build something or put something together, and he wanted to do it. And so I was gonna let him do it. And he was getting really bent out of shape because he tried to do it and it didn't work, or he did it wrong. And I was like, it's okay. The mistakes are fine. That's how we learn. It's just fine. It's just part of it. Like, no big deal. And I felt like that was a pivotal moment right then where it was like I was an adult consciously giving him permission, like, failure's fine. Like, you do it all the time, mess up, it's no big deal, just try again. Now he's an incredibly competent child, right? And he's really growing up to be like a very smart person who's capable in engineering and ingenuitive and all of those things. So I give myself the credit. He's like this anyway, but I think that it's moments like that where we encourage that kind of willingness to not be frozen because you feel like it has to be perfect, right? And so the ego is like, you can't, get rid of that personality trait or make these new habits overnight. You'll just go back into your old ways. It's only gonna last a day. It's like, no, it's about, okay, yeah, I made it one day this week and I fucked up. Now this week I'm going to try to do it 2 days, right? I'm going to give it my best. You're going to give yourself like the understanding that you're not going to be perfect. You're not going to be 100%, and that's fine. It's about consistency, willingness, and resilience, persistence, determination, right? When you give up, something's mastered over you and you've let your power go. Right? But when we don't let that thing have power over us and we don't let it defeat us, then we have dominion over that thing, right? So it's just about giving it your best and not holding yourself back and overwhelm, right? And freezing because you can't make a choice because you're, paralyzed at the thought of it being the wrong choice. It's like troubleshoot, pivot, whatever you need to do, but don't be stuck and frozen, right? Things are coming together, and just keep making an effort, just solid step by step. Slow and steady wins the race. Achievable goals, right? Because little achievable goals feel so good. It feels so good, right? And then you have even more energy and bandwidth to push yourself a little bit further, right? And so then your goals become bigger. Like the achievability of your goals expands, right? But if you set yourself too high of a goal or too high of a bar, then more than likely it's like, oh, we don't live up to it and we're disappointed, we're discouraged, and then we feel like we can't follow through with anything, we're failures, and it's just like, oh my God, I can't possibly, so it's a downward spiral. Whereas if we're giving ourselves wins, it's like we set ourselves up on like a positive cycle. And the more appreciation that we can show and talk about, the better. Right. Oh, and so speaking of, I was talking about the Hanukkah miracles earlier, and one of the miracles was yesterday. I was talking about how I felt in my heart like a little bit of financial stress, and I was like, man, I really wish I could pick up an extra shift this week. It'd be great if I could pick up Friday. Did not voice this aloud, did not have a conscious prayer, just knew I had a true desire and a very clear thought, and within minutes, one of my coworkers texted me that they needed someone to cover their Friday night shift. So deal, right? Done, miracle, thank you. I go into work last night and I got just what my heart desired. And I had a clear idea. I was like, it'd be really nice to go into a big private party in this one big event space that we have. And that's where I was. And that's what I did. And we did well. And then another thing that's been really weighing heavy on my heart, in the most sincerity, and not just for me, but on behalf of others too, is the whole Affordable Care Act being renewed and not running out of subsidies. because we're on the verge of either not having, like, I know everybody just signed up for their health care and they got their deal, but that's going to go away next year if they don't vote to renew the money to support the subsidies. So what's happening now is there has been suddenly, like this morning, I woke up to this news report of the House. It's completely rebelled against Mike Johnson, and a lot of Republicans have flipped and they're fighting for the renewal of the Affordable Care Act because their constituents are going to completely turn against them, right? We've seen all of these mass retirements from these Republican congressmen and representatives, and what that means is that they were just bought by lobbyists that realize that they're not going to be able to continue because they're not going to be voted back into office by their constituents. And so they're like, okay, I'm kind of forced into retirement because I'm owned by the lobbyists, my constituent, this is like a conflict of interest, right? And so they're like bailing out, they're like, fuck this, you know? So there's all these seats open and it's all up in the air. And I think we're all at a boiling point of like, okay, things have got to be more affordable. Things have got to be fair and equitable. Why have people been turned against these ideas, you know, against like universal health care? Like, I mean, everybody needs that, right? Poor people, rich people, I mean, rich people can take care of their own health care, but they don't want all their money eaten away by what could happen to anyone, a health problem, right? So people on both sides of the aisle have family and people who need healthcare, right? So that was a miracle. So that is going to come up for a vote, where it was like almost a dead duck. And so we have a chance for them to now vote for that to pass and for our health care subsidies to be renewed for another 3 years. So if you can reach out to your local representative and let them know that to vote whichever way renews the act, right? So that's something, right? That is another miracle. That's a big one. So we need to have our unified prayers that will be saved and that will be preserved. All right, you guys. And also let's pray for our brothers and sisters in Palestine. They are in the hell right now. It's cold. The winds are blowing through their tent cities. It is just a heartbreaking thing to watch. And the mud, the flooding, it's cold. Everything's wet. Like, I mean, people are struggling and suffering so bad right now. And so if you guys see people in your feed that are asking for support and you have somewhere that you need to tithe, or you don't have a place to tithe because you don't necessarily go to church, right? This is a time of year where doing charitable acts opens up miracles. It does. It opens up miracles for them and for you. Not that we can't do that for goodness sake, not expecting anything in return, but during these holy holidays, it's always a particularly potent time to give charity and to give back to others and to do what you can. And I know that we all aren't rich. I'm a waitress, but I still use my tithe to help support people so that they are sheltered and fed, and it's not enough to cover everything, but it's something to pitch in, and that helps. So I have on my Instagram some things that have been reshared, like the reshare page button. And then I would say a good place to find individuals that have been vetted are through this account, the Virgin X. He's got like very short brown hair and a mustache, and sometimes you'll see him in drag as like an icon, like a Catholic icon. But he does videos for Palestinian people and helps get their message and story out there. A lot of people have had to sell their phones just so they can buy their tents when they've been displaced in the bombings, and so they don't necessarily have a way to be advocating for themselves. Not only that, just finding internet is very difficult. So anything that we can do to proactively just keep these people in our memory, but not just in our thoughts, to actually do something. Like, $20 can make a difference, $30, $5, it adds up. I was just seeing a video the other day. They went into one of the markets they do have, and a box of cornflakes is about $16. So everything there, like a bag of pasta is like $30. Like, it's insane. Like, even just food that barely keeps you alive is really, really expensive to buy, and they need all kinds of things just to survive right now. So think about what you need in your bank account. They are just doing everything they can to survive at this moment. So that's a good way to go help the world. There's also struggles in Sudan and Congo, right? So if you can help those people. And what happens is they usually have like an account called Chuffed or PayPal or whatever they have, but sometimes it's organized by a third party. I imagine because they probably don't have any like stability with their addresses and things like that, and it probably makes it easier for them to like have consistent access. But so I don't know, there's just like so many things about it that are unclear. But just remember, and you know, there's a language barrier, right? And you know, you're in a comfortable situation, but these people are in desperate, like, code orange level. So they might come on strong at first, but they mellow out and they chill out. So don't be afraid to get involved. It can be intimidating. You can be like, I don't know what's going to happen it's fine, right? You just have to have the threshold of knowing that you can't solve all their problems, but you can do a little something. So do what you can. All right, you all, that is all for tonight. The Virgin X, it's a V_Virgin_ the letter X, I think. And then you can find a lot of people through him. And then a way to like make sure that they are legit and not somebody that's like stolen their account might be to see, okay, they follow each other. Those people know each other from the video. Like, I asked the girl that I am in touch with, like, about if she knew this one dude because she was needing help, and she was like, oh yeah, that's my brother. And that's how I thought they knew each other from a couple of other videos that I saw, but I wasn't sure. And that's one of the things that made me feel like, okay, she is who she says she is, because that would have been a really random thing for her to study this person and go cross-reference all these other videos as even related. So you could do a little bit of that to just make sure, and then like look at their followers, look at who they're following. Are they other Palestinian people? Like, does it look right? And then, you know, you feel like you've done your due diligence and cross-referencing. But yes, all right, y'all, that is all for today. Chag Sameach, happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, happy solstice. Lots of magic in the air right now, so be part of the vessels that reveal that light and miracles to the world. Ciao. Welcome to night 4 of Hanukkah. What may appear to be burning down right now is actually being welded in the fire. We're descending into the darkest days of the year, both emotionally and physically. But a true alchemist knows that this is what it's all about. This is where the opportunity is. This is where real change and transformation can occur. This is when we get to see the object that casts the shadow. Things are coming together in ways we cannot see. Our job is to have certainty in miracles whilst simultaneously accepting the mystery and continuing to give maximum effort. As we gaze into the light of the Hanukkah flame, we hold the conscious awareness that within that flame emanates the spark of the Creator. And that same spark is within us in eternal presence. We are not looking at the physical light, but we are seeing the spiritual light. Bring something with you to this moment that you're ready to change or heal, and commit to giving it your greatest effort and commitment. God will answer your call. Your ego will intimidate you with perfectionism, but don't let this stop you. A sincere heart, making mistakes and trying again and again and again and again, that's all that's needed. God asks to give him an opening the size of a needle, and the light will illuminate the darkness and reveal miracles. Just believe and show up, and the temple will get built.